Yo, it's Eddie Ortega. Listen, people really complicate this thing. I feel like if you want to paint outside, you want to get started with watercolors, you don't need a lot. You need very little to get going. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly which materials I use to do watercolor plein air outside pretty much every single day. First, let's talk about the essentials. This is all you need right here. Paper, a watercolor kit, and a water brush. Technically, you don't need anything else, although I have a couple other things that you could add to the mix to make this even more useful. Now, let's start with the most obvious of the things. The watercolor set. Here it is. This costs 20 bucks. Actually kind of expensive these days. It used to be cheaper, but I use the Winsor & Newton Cotman kit, mostly because I like its palettes. I actually love this little plastic thing. Look at how tiny this is. Look. I'm talking pockets, bro. I love how light it is. It's not metal. And I also like that it has a little bit of a painting surface. I like that it has a little bit of a built-in kind of palette that you could use to mix your paints. There's lots of kits out there with lots of weird attachments and all kinds of crazy shit. I think this is all you need. I also like the specific colors in this palette. They're really great for landscapes, interiors, character stuff. It's kind of got everything you need. Okay. Now let's talk about the least obvious of the things, the water brush. So in watercolor, you probably think, oh, I need all this crap, you know, a bunch of different brushes and like a little jar to carry around and put water in. This is too much. If you're trying to go outside with this, it's not gonna work. All I need is a water brush. You can buy this at pretty much any art store and they cost maybe $7, maybe $10 if they're trying to rip you off a little bit. And what I love about these things is it's a brush that actually has a water reservoir built into it. And so you can unscrew this baby up. You just hold this under a faucet or a water bottle and you can fill it up. And then when you paint, all you gotta do to add water is press your brush and water magically comes out. It's so easy, it's so fun, and it can be quite a great tool for practicing flow control. Just like how much water do you need when you're painting. Okay, the last of the essentials is the paper. I love using postcard size paper pad. This one's actually kind of on the big side. They sell them even so small that you could fit them in your pocket. So, you know, it just flips open, and it's sturdy enough that you could just hold it and paint just like that. Now, when it comes to paper type, I know there's all kinds of things out there. If you're just a beginner and you're not really sure what to pick, I want to recommend you pick something that is cold pressed, and all you have to understand is that the weight, the watercolor pad will say like a weight number. The heavier it is, the thicker the watercolor paper and the more water it can sustain. Which is not necessarily a better or worse thing, it's just different. I like cold pressed because they have a little bit of texture and grain, and I think it'll give some of the liveliness to the watercolor, whereas hot pressed tend to be very smooth and very low grain, so that you basically get more of a clean look. I like the cold pressed. I like to try not to get super heavy paper because the heavier it is, the more expensive it is, the more precious I become. And that's literally it. That is the essentials, okay? Pad, kit, paper. That's it. If you got nothing else out of this video, you could just get those three things and get on the go. Now, if you did want to add a little something, I'm gonna show you a couple more tools that I use that are still on the minimal side, but give me a whole lot of flexibility. Up from the essentials, this is what I call the ideal situation. So in the ideal situation, I would also add a pencil, an eraser, and a sharpener, of course, that they kind of come together as a kit. And I love having literally just a single pencil. Personally, I go for something like an HB, you know, which is just kind of in the middle, not too soft, not too light, and not too hard. If you don't know the numbers, just trust me on this one. Like a 2B is like your normal school pencil, but it's just right in the middle where I can make dark lines, I can make light lines, and I don't have to be like switching around. So don't get too lost on the sauce trying to figure out what pencil to pick. Just get something in the middle. Eraser, the smaller the better. What else is there to say about it? And then of course we have the sharpener. This one has a little reservoir so that I could use it when I'm on the go, but if you can't find something small enough, the classic metal one works just as well, kind of like this one over here. It's really that simple. And then I would also add 2 more things to my ideals list. Tape, artist tape. This is, again, you could buy this at most artist stores. I'll be honest, I'm fancy. I bought this in Japan and I really like this tape because it's really thin, it's really easy to remove, but you could buy any artist tape at an art store that will work. Don't use like masking tape for like painting houses and stuff. That will destroy your paper, so that's a no-go. Again, this is not an essential, it's a nice to have, but I love being able to tape up my paintings before I start, and then it creates a nice clean edge, which adds like a little bit of polish to the whole experience. It's real nice. And then last but not least, my essentials wouldn't be complete without a pen. You can experiment with different kinds of pen. I like having really thin ones, like a 0.2 or a 0.4 at the most, but this is art, man. You need to experiment and find what works for you. This one is the Rot Ring brand. Again, I got these in Japan, but in America, you could literally get the, what the hell are they called? The freaking microns, man, is what I was trying to say, the microns. Again, you don't have to buy the whole set and have a bunch of different ones. I feel like this is where people get a little too crazy with it. You can buy them in singular ones, and I would buy something like a 0.2 or 0.4, depending on how thick you like your lines. I like using this for finishing the drawings, to just kind of like put some little details on there, and pretty much that's everything that you need. Now, what I love about this whole kit is that if you look at it, I could literally throw all of these things in my pocket or in a little bag. I actually have repurposed like a tiny little plastic case that I got from a brush. And this little box pretty much carries everything I need. Now, this is kind of the tricky one. The box itself, find something that works for you. This is the one, this is the magical item in the whole kit that makes the whole thing work. And again, check it out. Between this and this, boom, one pocket, another pocket, and I'm good to go. That's literally how simple I like it, because when you're talking about going outside, it's really easy to overdo it and to have all these other things, and it's really hard to set up. Now let's talk about the frills. This is like, if you're trying to get fancy, I would suggest 2 more things. A cutting board, you can buy these on Amazon, you can buy these at an art store again. And this one's a 12 by 9, it's really, really small. So if I'm carrying something like a backpack, I could just slide this in the backpack. My other frill is a paper clip, and that allows you to basically clip your painting to your board if you really wanted to. It's just a little extra. It can also help if I'm sitting, I can put it on my lap and paint that way. And that is literally everything. For the last 2 to 3 years, I've been making watercolor paintings with that tiny set. I've used it in airplanes, I've used it outdoors, at bars, because the smaller your setup, the easier to manage, the lower the friction. When we're trying to paint outside, when we're trying to paint every day, I find that the more tools you add and the more things you have to track, the harder it is to just get into it. So get out there, have fun. I hope this is a helpful little video. I'm curious, what would you add to this kit? What would you take away? Maybe you have your own solution, but that is what has worked for me. And if you're curious to see the paintings that I made in my trip in Japan, check out this video over here. And if you're curious about how I actually use these tools in my day-to-day, like the actual painting process with these tools, check out this video over here. All right, and that's it. I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.